Okay, this meeting is called to order. The roll call of members, Denise Leonard.
Here.
Dave Johnson.
Here.
Greg Cootware.
Here.
Elizabeth Nett here. And our representative, Ginny DeSocia.
Yes.
No discussion or comments will be entertained unless requested upon by the chairperson of the board or committee. This section is needed if you have public comment. We're going to vote to accept the meetings from October the 2nd. Greg will read them. He is our clerk.
Agricultural Commission, City of Greenfield, Massachusetts, October 2nd, 2024 meeting notes. Elizabeth Nett, Dave Johnson, Denise Leonard, Janine Greaves, and Greg were attending. Meeting called to order 5:30 on 10/22/24. Janine started recording on Zoom for public viewing. Roll call, attending meeting as put up forth. Public comment statement made by Elizabeth. No discussion or comments will be entertained unless requested upon by the chairperson. Greg Cootware reads August 7th meeting minutes accepted by Ag Committee. Elizabeth Nett reads September 4th meeting minutes accepted by Ag Committee. Elizabeth Nett states that AG permits are becoming an issue for future discussions. Ordinance addresses any lot under 5 acres. Denise Leonard states Ag Committee has a place at changes in ordinances. Right to farm signs discussed, and an estimate for materials was submitted from Hale Custom Signs for $1,498 for 4 signs total. Motion to ask mayor for additional funds for $623.50 for monies needed above our committee's budget for these signs, accepted by Ag Committee. Motion to ask mayor for this Ag Committee to meet every other month, accepted by Ag Committee. Dave Johnson stated that the Greenfield Livestock Inspector is a veterinarian authority. Pending mayoral approval, our next meeting is scheduled for December 4th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m.
And here we are.
Wait a second, got a little bit more and I just can't turn the page here. Question taken from online attendee Patty. She was wondering if lot use can be combined for ag use in order to make the 5 acres. Meeting adjourned at 6:35 p.m.
Okay, thank you. I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second,
Thank you. Okay,
we have to
pardon me?
approve that.
I have to approve it?
We have to all vote and say.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm still not sure of that procedure, but I'm learning.
Every time you have a motion, we must, well, we just have a discussion and we have a vote.
And a vote, okay. And I'm just a person here. I'm not, You know,
Between the call-
I can make a
and
motion.
Between the call for motion and the voting is the time to have discussion for us.
okay. So, all right, let's just leave that for now. I'm going to make a motion that I would like to offer to present the way that the agenda is written to go, to kind of go off that. And because we have 2 people here who have interest in part of this agenda, and I think it would be nice to start with their reason that they came here. I used to do this when I was at Laurel Park, and I just thought it was the nicest thing to do that way. You know, we've addressed your piece. Why don't you come on up here? Come up closer.
She's hard of hearing, so
She's no, you need to come up here. Why not?
I second the motion.
she's saying she's like to ask them
Thank you.
permission to change the schedule of events so that
Oh.
you might maybe be able to speak.
Yes.
Or say something because we're
Okay.
here and that's not normal.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, and also because why should you sit through some things?
It could be interesting.
It could be interesting, but if you wanted to leave, you could leave because you know that you've taken care of your business.
Okay.
So we've seconded the motion. Motion passed. Sure.
No, to ask for a vote or
A vote, we
any
need to vote.
discussion first, any discussion?
And that's
But we
to,
need to have a discussion.
and the motion was to change the agenda.
Yeah, I just want to change it around a little
Okay.
from the order.
Aye. If you're gonna vote, rather.
Yes, aye.
I think
Okay.
she said aye.
Aye.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm not really. So we're gonna move all the way down to 5. I know my Roman numerals, right? Number 5, okay. 5 in brief, I like to keep the agenda brief. 5 in brief is citizen petition requesting change in chicken/rooster keeping ordinance. Follow up from the October 20th city council meeting. So what I'd like to do, if I could, is just go around the table and have everyone give their input into this. I just want to say that we have a new counselor at large named Sarah Brown. And Sarah Brown is working on this. She's very interested and she's working on this. And she has something to present at the October 20th meeting. We haven't followed up too much with her. She's been pretty busy, but she was extremely active upon hearing about this. So that's really all I have to say. I had gone, except that I had gone to talk to Eric because there's always a lot of hearsay and rumors and things like that that go on, and he knows that trouble. So I've gone to him, this is the second time, just to ask for specifics for facts. And so he gave me a printout of your property and how much land it is and stuff. So I'd like to pull that out, to have it out here on the table and then go to Greg for his.
I'm confused.
You're,
What is their
I am sorry,
proposal?
you're here,
We're here.
you're here.
Should I, is it okay to talk?
Yes, you can talk.
I'm probably gonna do more talking. She gets a little bit, she likes things calm.
Okay,
They have a 10-acre piece of land. It involves a church and their home. There's no house within probably 150 feet of their home. Her
Who is the
husband,
they?
her and her husband.
Okay.
He's a pastor and his, that they
Okay.
go away.
Okay,
So there's not a house within 150 feet, maybe 200 feet from their home. The way the church is, if people are in need, they help people. If animals are in need, they help animals. Right now, she has animals that she's taken in for different reasons, and some of them involve a dog that was nearly starving, chickens, 3 of which are roosters.
true.
Okay, one passed away today, but I wasn't gonna say that. So she has bantam roosters, tiny little roosters. However, 400 or 500 feet on the other side, there's a full-grown rooster that crows extremely loud. It does not faze them at all because they're both hard of hearing, as you can see.
I can hear it.
However, since this whole thing has started, the neighbor that is closest is, I think, about, I'm gonna guess, 200 feet from her house. Has a dog that barks extremely loud. He has come to their house, he has written them a letter, he has come to their house to let him know who he is and what he expects, and because they are Christians, they should consider their neighbor's feelings for having these bantam roosters while he has his barking dog. He has come over and asked if the coop could be moved 450 feet across the field so that her husband, who falls once or twice a month, could go and let the chickens out at that time, and then the coop would be closer to the other neighbor on the other side. He has come to their house at least, I believe, 2 or 3 times. Okay. He has started playing music that no one plays. It sounds like it's coming from like a Catholic, I don't even know, so loud that we can hear it in our church, which is 650 feet from his house. We can't even hear the roosters over there, but we can hear his music. Okay? Again, I hear it. They can't hear it because they're hard of hearing. So if he's trying to bother them, it's not working. One morning, She called me in the next day. She said, Jeanette, oh my, she said, I don't know. I thought there was a fire in the backyard. She said it was 4:30 in the morning and I looked and I even went outside on my deck. I thought there was a fire. She said it was a light flashing from his house towards the chicken coop. I don't know if he was trying to instigate them, like to wake up, because of course, if they see a light, they will crow. But she said, Jeanette, I went outside. I was so scared. I thought there was a fire and the only house in that direction was their house and their deck is on the backyard. So not only has he intimidated them by telling them where he came from and what he expects, he has asked them to move their coop 650 feet apart and even said he would help to move it over there next to the other neighbor. Okay, he has a dog that barks twice as loud as the birds. Her birds, if it's a dreary day, come 10 o'clock, we have to reach inside the coop and take them out because they won't come out of the coop.
Right.
People have come to the house and politely asked if she could have them in by 8. The problem is they go in at 4:30.
4 o'clock now.
Because it's so dark. Chickens cannot move once, I mean, you guys know that. They can't move. They're in at 4:30. The only reason they would wake up is if there's a predator or a light flashing or a dog barking.
Or noise.
There is nothing else that she can do. She is 200 feet away from the nearest house. These are 75-year-old people willing to take in animals for rescue. She's done everything she can, but the things that he's doing to try and affect her are starting to turn into harassment. But they're not bothering her. It's the people in the church that can now hear his music and his dogs and a dog, one dog, I think it's one.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. It's because there are 10 acres. She has the right. If she wanted to have a rooster sanctuary, she could.
And I don't mind the
No.
music.
Okay. Okay. But she has a right to have her birds.
Yes and no.
Okay.
May I just for a minute, Jeanette,
Mhm.
thank you. Could you just give your whole name and your address
Yes.
so that we would know
Oh,
exactly?
that's a good idea.
Jeanette Washington.
Both names and the address, so we'll know where this is. Thank you.
Jeanette Washington, I'm at 22 Gold Street in Greenfield. And that's Carol Lewandowski. She's at 452 Davis Street in Greenfield.
Thank you.
Did you come over to my house?
I would like to put on the table the information
Could
that
be.
Eric printed out
I
on
don't
the
know why.
property, so you can
I
see
know my stepdaughter. Heather.
zoning and the acreage.
Heather,
Leonard?
Okay.
I went to school with Shelley.
No, different person. Sorry.
Heather Leonard
Okay.
sounds familiar
Yeah,
too.
okay. Just your last name sounds familiar.
So Greg, would you like to add to the discussion? There is that paper I got from Eric, print out the particulars.
I think she stated everything.
Okay, or you could, ask your question. I did go to Eric and I did get the.
I knew that they were over 5 acres. I knew that they had a rooster. I've heard them.
They're loud, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, and I've
Yeah.
heard the rooster next door as well.
Yeah, her roosters, the
have?
2 that she has left now,
Mhm.
are almost like squeak toys.
So
Yeah.
is the neighbor complaining about the other rooster?
No, no,
My
Okay,
daughter has a big one that would wake up
the 10. But her daughter lives in another state. That's
in
not.
Vermont
But
and she wants me to take it and I love it for that reason.
She had purposely told her daughter she won't take one because it's a very loud one. The one next door is loud, which doesn't bother her at all because they can't hear.
right.
But the 2 that she has are literally, I mean, it's a joke when you hear them. He's been hard though.
Okay, so here's my take on this. First of all, the chapter 40A, section 3, talks about what you can and can't do in terms of zoning. And yes, 10 acres, more than 5 acres, you can do normal agricultural
Mhm.
pursuits.
I have something.
7 normal.
She has 7 chickens and.
The chickens are fine. That's not a problem.
The
When
dogs
I,
are fine.
and when I called the Farm Bureau, they said that roosters were a real iffy thing. And that it actually becomes a Board of Health issue. From my point of view, first of all, you're on chapter 61A for agricultural exemption. Is she on chapter 61A?
I mean, she has 10 acres. I don't know what that means.
No, she's not. Okay.
Okay.
Because we're on chapter 61A. We're a farm. We're on chapter 61A. We get reduced taxes from the town
Oh, no,
because
she
we're
doesn't.
farming. Okay.
No,
That to me would be something that would be important as to whether or not why are the roosters there?
Because they're her pets at this point.
Okay, so that's kind of becomes an issue with whether or not that's normal farming practices.
So is it better if she is, I mean, if she wanted to open up a farm, she will, she loves them. Do you know what I mean? But what,
And then I'm gonna say on the other side, the town cannot change the ordinance to include all acres. Because it's against the mass zoning. They can't do that. What can happen and what should happen is the Board of Health should step in and determine whether or not this is something that needs to be regulated.
so are you saying like chickens as pets are not allowed in Greenfield? Is that,
Chickens, you can have up to 10 hens.
but now what does it say, hens or poultry in the?
It says
Female.
hens.
See, when I read, they may have changed it, but when I had the paperwork, it said you could have 10 poultry.
No, it says 10 hens now.
They did change.
I
Okay,
did change it.
so just to be clear, hens will crow also, and we've
No,
had
not the
multiple of
same.
them. Oh, we've had some. No, I'm just saying, I know they're not
Well,
the
they
same
used
as
to
a
say
full
10
grown, but she
poultry, but,
has bantams.
you
She
know-
has bantams.
Right.
So we've had girls that crowed like her bantams do.
A personal opinion on this
Mhm.
is that get the Board of Health involved, get the police involved.
Mhm.
Because this is a harassment for you.
That's the problem that we have, and even if they were to go like on a sound ordinance, that her birds are a joke. Like, they're a joke,
His barking dog is a sound problem too.
and it's very loud, and I understand, but that's fine, but I think, and I'm speculating. I think the way he presented himself in his letter, like, I came from the city and I'm this, and I have this, and I have that, and I didn't come here to hear this. It sounded like he didn't want to be around farm life. That was my take, but that's my personal opinion. That's why
I can
think it
agree
bothers
with
me.
you. I have neighbors that have been like that too.
Like those are, I mean, her thing is as clean and beautiful as you can imagine, you know? But what also is bothering me is that if you can
And-
hear a rooster 300 feet further that are out roostering hers, why is it her? And
That's
he
why I
clearly
think you
presented
need to go
because
and
you're
talk to the-
Christians, you should have thought about this more clearly.
It
that
has
was how
nothing to
he
do with whether or
presented.
not you're Christians, quite honestly.
But that's how they have the letter, that's what he sent to them. He said, I would think because you guys are Christians, you should have
So
thought
if
about
somebody
this.
wants to look at
That
whatever.
was how he
Oh,
presented, that was the
printed
first
out
thing he
for
did.
us.
He sent a letter before we came.
Yeah, and they had already had them for 4 or 5 months, and he sent a letter and said, I would think because you're Christians, you should have considered your neighbors.
But it has nothing to do with the ordinance or what we have to do in the city. But it's October, oh my gosh, the 10th. October the 10th in this room or by Zoom. There's gonna be presentation.
October the 10th?
wondering, it's a-
I'm sorry, December the 10th.
Okay,
I
so
have been.
first of all, tonight is my older son's birthday. The 10th is my younger son's birthday.
Oh.
So for me to go to that is not going to happen.
Well, but
10th.
that's okay. You don't have to.
Okay.
It's a different, I think it's the variance,
Mhm.
folks. And Sarah Brown will be at that.
Okay, the
Okay.
variance folks really should be talking to us too.
Okay, well, we can get in touch with. them
And in this little thing here,
That's where the rights of farm comes in, and yours is not a farm. They had a 150 foot coop out, and the cement block is still out there from in their house. But that was a right to farm, I believe, that's what that was
I
called.
don't.
It could have been before the rules of regulation.
Right, this was years ago,
It
yes.
could have also been when there were, and I'm not picking sides, but it could have been, and I've seen the foundation.
Yeah, I showed you the family.
I think the question, we're all. I talked to the guy who presented the petition at a meeting of the city council. Did not pick sides. I then went over and talked to David, and he said, you were the person in charge, and I came back and we visited.
He spoke to your husband and pastor asked him to speak to you.
Oh, yes, he
Right.
did, yeah.
Anyways, in my opinion, whatever that's worth, I identified who I was and I listened to both sides. And while I was at your house, I could hear the rooster from Crowning Shields. And there's also, I think David said there's other chickens closer to,
On Silver Shore.
closer to,
And sometimes there's roosters up the other way, but I think those go missing occasionally because probably they're food. But I do hear them on the other side too
okay,
sometimes.
that's what
Okay.
we're getting at. The issue from this, the petitioner is clear that the root, in his mind,
I know.
that the roosters are waking him up through the night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, that's,
I know, I should.
you gotta present both
Yeah.
sides. You can't just run with one. And I said, I listened to him and I'm thinking, I lived on a farm for 44 years. And when the sun goes down, the
They're done.
birds quiet down.
And these are two bantams,
Yeah,
this big.
And the coop is closed in, we got a little tiny, two little windows.
That can,
Yeah.
can we, if you, pardon me, why don't we let one person finish at a time? You were speaking, okay?
Okay.
Is that okay?
here's the issue I don't have a solution for. I know there's a total of 10 plus acres. I do know that a big share of that, over half, is a parking lot and a church
There is a lot of it.
in those two areas. Does that
Maybe
mean that
3 acres.
their property parcel is, I think, 3 point something acres is what I heard from both sides?
From the church.
No, just
the church
yours.
Sides.
Just the part, where you live. Now, the question is, and I don't know the answer, is that one piece of land total? I know in New Hampshire, it wouldn't be. If it's not farmland, and if the church itself is not farmland, the building. I don't know how Massachusetts is going to go with that. I can't say. If it can all be lumped into one 10-acre.
On paper it is. When they bought it,
On paper.
when
it
they
says
bought a
10
piece of
acres.
land, they found the house after they bought the land.
Okay, and all I'm saying is right now there are 3 parcels there for a total of 10 plus acres. Solution? I don't have a solution for that. I talked to you and to David. In New Hampshire, one of the limiting factors is, I chose to say 8 o'clock, getting the roosters in, not for December, but in July.
They go to bed at 8.
I'm
Quarter to 8.
just saying, in the summer, when the days are much longer, birds can be out at 4:30 in the morning and still out at, that's the reality.
What I'm telling you though, if hers are in the back of her house, in the summer, her birds, she's had them for 2 summers now. They do not come out before 7:30 or 8 in the morning, and they are in bed by 7:30, 7:45 at night.
And all I'm saying is, you don't make it for a partial year. You just say over the course of the year, you deal with the short days of December
Yeah.
and the long days of June and July.
Yep.
So I think there's layers here.
Mhm.
I think there's some built up animosity between the petitioner.
No, go ahead, finish.
Well, I think there's some
That's okay.
built up animosity and.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yes.
It's not a simple solution. And I think that you mentioned, or David did, about, are they having issues with the church? I don't know.
We've wondered that.
That's exactly. The fact I've heard other birds tells me, why are we zeroing in on the Lewandowskis at the expense of the
The other two.
other two? And I didn't hear one. I heard one, the ones
It's
on
only occasionally,
Crowning
the others
Shield.
occasionally,
Okay, but I didn't,
Right.
what I heard was
the one.
your rooster and the Crowning Shield roosters. And it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take, when I
Yeah,
was
it
there.
was when you come.
And
Well,
they
it was- yeah,
were
Probably 3,
noisy.
about 3.
And again, it was during the day. At no point did the petitioner grumble about noise during the day. He was very clear, and again, I'm just trying to give you both sides.
Yeah.
He was very clear that it was during the middle of the night.
It's sad.
That's the petitioner's side and your side, but you gotta listen to both sides.
Yeah,
And if you don't,
she'd be willing to have it recorded out there at night. That's how,
no, I'm not
That's
gonna do
probably a
that.
good
You wanna go
idea.
over
Not a
there at 2 in the
That's
morning?
probably-
I'd leave it out all night long and let it record the whole
Well,
night.
you know what, I have my bathroom. I keep the window up all winter, so I got my bathroom window open. You come out my bathroom and go like maybe the length of the table this way, and it's my bedroom. And my bed's there, and I don't hear them. But like I said, I can't hear them, but I don't hear them at night.
So, excuse me, Ginny, did you have
But
something
we're taking
that
up
you
the
wanted
whole
to
meeting.
say?
I do have something that I would like to say. There is there is a fact here that those parcels are not combined. I'm looking, I'm not an expert, but I did serve on the planning board for 6 years. And I have no position on the chickens and the roosters. But I know that sometimes parcels are split for tax purposes or for use purposes. And this is what happened with that, according, I'm not pulling up the registry of deeds. However, this particular parcel with the church on it was separated. There are no taxes paid on that. It starts with the number 9, which means it is tax-free. It's land use code 960. The parcel with the church on it has 4.1674 acres. Again, no position on the roosters, but we can't say that it's one parcel when we want one thing and 2 parcels when we want something else. One would give us no taxes. Then we want chickens because, or rooster, a rooster. Because 5 acres or more, it would be okay. But it was split in 2013 to make, and I don't know the exact reason, but it looks like for the church. And then there's the other parcel, which I haven't dug into yet. But that is not a position on this, but it is factual that the properties were separated.
Thank you. That's, yeah,
But
great.
still
That's the
over
reason I
5
wanted
acres
to.
on the,
I'm looking for a
Residential.
second.
No, the residential is 3 point, help me,
She just said it was 4.1.
That,
no, that's
No,
the
the
church
church.
property.
on the church was,
So then
I think it's
I
3
don't
point,
think this.
it's 3 and change.
Well, if the church is 4 something, there's 10 total, so the parsonage would have to be 6 something.
No, the parking lot is
Oh,
there's
sorry.
3, there's 3.
3, okay, I see what you're
parcels.
saying. I see what you're saying.
And that's why I don't have an answer.
Right.
That's probably 2 acres by itself, parking lot.
I would say without any reservations, if it was one continuous 10-acre lot. Again, I'm using New Hampshire and it's maybe not a bad idea, maybe not a good idea. You don't raise livestock in a parking lot.
No,
So that would, you see what
right.
I'm
Oh,
getting
yes,
at?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
and what,
Although they do go there, but yes, I see what you're saying.
that's
Yes.
not farmland.
No, it's not.
And any building is not farmland.
Right,
So the church,
right.
and basically you could take your lot at 3 acres and change
Mhm.
as the case. Solution, I don't have it because I don't know how it's gonna play out with city council or whatever.
Well, the city council cannot change the ordinance to include all parts of property.
I agree
They
with that.
can't, because it's against however, the state does define various kinds of farming. And they do make a difference between that and hobby farming. So
But she doesn't really have to go on farming, does she? Because you're allowed to have, I'll tell you, 10 hens, you said.
Right, 10 hens.
Okay.
She's fine with the hens.
Okay.
It's the rooster that is. And when I called the Farm Bureau, they were like, you're just the chair. When I called the Farm Bureau, they said this was a very touchy subject.
Mhm.
Okay. I appreciate all this conversation. It's really good to talk about it and get all these facts. We have to leave
I know, it's
at
like-
6:30. There's gonna be a hearing on the 10th, and that's one that I plan to attend. I'm very interested. Can you hear? So there's gonna be that hearing, like I said, the counselor, Sarah Brown is gonna be there. And that's the EDC, and I still can't remember what that stands for, I'm sorry. It's not a special variance. The variance one is on the 12th for the cell phone tower. So this is the one that you would be interested in coming to if you could, or by Zoom right here.
Okay.
Okay, yes, yes.
Would you know what
Okay.
time it
We've
is?
taken us a lot.
Huh? It's, yeah, well, you know, the
Thank
thing
you,
is,
thank you.
we have something special with Jim here. But,
No, do you know what time that meeting's at?
6:30,
That's
it's,
fine.
okay, find it. I don't have, I've got it, but I gotta look through all this other stuff. So I know that that's,
Would you like to take a look at these two things?
that's good information.
That's good information. It talks about the Board of Health regulating farm animals, and it also talks about the regulations that Massachusetts has put in
Okay,
terms
now
of
what is
farming.
Okay.
And
So should I take these?
yeah, you can
Okay.
have those because I've got,
Time.
Oh my
of the
God.
meeting.
I did want to interrupt.
I'm
you.
sorry.
Yeah,
So the,
go
the
ahead.
time of the meeting for the economic development
Development,
is Tuesday, December 10th
yeah,
at 6 PM. And it's a joint public hearing. I just want to see where it is.
yeah.
It's right here. And it's also via Zoom,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
So, all right?
So,
So that's a good one for you, 6 PM.
okay.
economic
Okay.
development is what it is, and they're gonna
Yes.
be
Yes,
looking
as long
at
as-
the,
I don't wanna.
I didn't know if
Oh,
we
no, no,
should-
no, 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 don't.
I'm now looking for the agenda,
okay.
This thing
for their agenda,
Almost-
which I don't see.
I finally got a solution.
And I got.
So
Probably not posted yet.
I was about to say, we have
Yeah,
We
I
just-
think
I-
so.
Give it a thought.
I'm sorry that, you know,
If you haven't touched with her.
Sarah.
Sarah. Brown.
There's
Yeah.
layers there.
Counselor.
there's a lot of
She's the
layers,
one-
yeah.
she-
And I also would talk to the Board of Health,
She, that's the
Yeah.
one, okay.
the Board of Health,
Oh, boy.
Also,
yeah,
There are
because,
other roosters in that area. I walk on Gold Street. There's roosters there.
Yeah.
right, so they, you know, the fact that he's going after you
Yes,
is not appropriate.
Yes.
okay.
But anyway, thank you.
Good. Thank you for coming. It was really good to have you.
See you, Jeanette.
Bye.
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 Okay, let's see what else.
Before we abandon this,
We got the right to farm signs.
Denise and I think are in agreement. There's a lot of layers going on here and
Mhm.
it's been
Oh, yeah.
going on for a long period of time.
Over a year.
And I grew up in that neighborhood. And I heard roosters from them. I know on Gold Street, there's more roosters. I know on Crowning Shield. I've heard roosters there. And the question is why this petitioner singled out just this one. I don't know. And I don't
So
think we'll
that's-
ever know.
That's all really,
When I asked him that question, he was not aware there were any other roosters.
That's
then
not what
maybe
he told
he's
me.
not aware that there's other.
I mean, when I asked him, that's what I was told.
And when I asked him, he said, well, I'm not worried about the other ones.
You can't pick on some and not pick on the others.
That's the truth.
That's right. You have to be.
Really, really.
Straight
And
down the line,
The
yeah.
city cannot change the zoning ordinance, but what I
And
get
that's what he's
here.
No, he's not if it's a 3-acre piece of land. And that's something your office is gonna have to nail down. Does this make sense to anyone? a church parking lot and a church sanctuary are not agricultural.
No.
And it's all nonprofit, so it's in a non-taxable, which puts a whole different spin on what you're doing. I don't know.
I will tell you what I said before. If you've divided your land into parcels, and that happens frequently, sometimes people separate them or combine them.
Ours is.
Ours is like that, yeah, we
Ours is-
separated ours from our house.
Parts on 61A and parts. not.
That putting part of your land into chapter land, that is, I would say that was a separate issue. And again, I'm not a lawyer or an expert, but I will tell you, looking at that, my off the cuff opinion would be, you've separated it. How can you say that this is on a 10-acre parcel or
Right.
however it is, if you've put off part of this so that it is a non-taxable item, you've actually separated on the registry of deeds. Chapter 61, putting it into
Agricultural.
agriculture. I think that's a little different, but anybody that has particular questions, you can ask at that meeting that's coming up. But I would feel pretty safe to say that if you'd separated 4 acres to make that a church, you couldn't combine that in your next ask for a rooster.
Yeah.
To say that we're combined. But we'll see. You can bring that up, but I can see that it is made up into 2 to 3 parcels.
3 parcels,
Yes.
and I've done my best. And I think I'm on solid footing. There was a 3-point something, which
Mhm.
was where the parsonage is and the birds. Where they live. Okay, now that's in the back of the property. On the north side is the sanctuary and the church. And the south frontage is the parking lot. I need a greater mind than mine to sit through that, but they
Yeah.
are separated.
Eric Tora will be able to tell you about all 3 of those parcels.
Yes, he
This is
will.
running out of battery, so I'm gonna go plug it in.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be back in a
That's
second.
why I go to see Eric. Okay. So we have,
So I
have something really important to share with you whenever you're done talking about chickens and roosters.
I think that this isn't an issue that we can solve, but it's even within our purview to solve.
No. I mean, I'll ask everyone here, how much land is in the farmland piece of their property? It's that the parsonage.
Right, right. And so that's,
And could you imagine? saying,
Is that the way the law is written? Or the ordinance is written
Well,
to
because it's
say that it's called
nonprofit.
farm or residential, or it says a continuous, it just says lot size, right?
Yeah, it is the lot size.
it says
If
lot
it's a
size,
lot
but if you
size
look
it's
at
on,
the
it's
information,
3 acres, I think that kind of,
Meeting.
Wipes out the roosters.
I do. And I,
plus,
Well, I'm not
she's
gonna
not
say either.
commercial, it's not a commercial farm.
yes.
If she's
No,
rescuing the
I'm-
birds, it's
I'm-
not a.
I don't,
farm.
commercial farm, hobby farm, that has nothing, when I read this, it has nothing to do with it.
Right,
It's just a matter of the size of the lot.
right, right.
That's it.
But
And
I
the
think
size of the lot, if it's under 5 acres,
No rooster.
they shouldn't have roosters.
That's it.
That's it. It's that simple.
Is it that simple?
But
Now,
then
if they
you
want a
can't complain
variance to
about-
have roosters, if they want to make a variance for roosters on a 3-acre lot, that's a different matter.
They go
That's
through the
opening a
variance.
whole can of worms.
That's a whole
I don't-
other thing.
I'm
Well,
just saying that-
actually, one of the things that the Farm Bureau said was that variances were not a good idea in terms of Board of Health doing
No,
variances.
it's not.
So, I mean,
We
permit
do
yes,
have the
variances.
opportunity in our city to do that if we want to. I have gone to DPW and Jenny is here. And I have spoken to them about the right to farm signs, to getting them up. And I spoke with Marlo, but mostly I spoke to an engineer, his name is Glenn, with 2 M's. So I have this information that I wanted to give you because Ginny's approved the money for the signs.
Yay.
Thank you.
With all the hardware, we're having 3 signs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three signs?
3. We're gonna
Okay.
buy
There's
3.
one already up.
And we've been asked for the hardware as well. Okay, this comes from DPW today. I stopped there today. I thought, let me see what's going on. So we started to talk about where we wanted to put the signs. Of course, they're gonna have to be on city land if the city puts them up.
Mhm.
That makes sense. So we talked about it, and we talked about it this way. And I'm presenting this to you. I'm not, I've got this information. And we might be able to vote tonight to be able to move forward and make a purchase. Might. So here's how I think of it. This is where the signs, as I see it, would be. And let me read the whole thing. And as I do, if something doesn't sound right, say that doesn't sound right. So you're going west on Route 2, okay? So you take this is how I do things. You take a right on 2A, otherwise known as the French King Highway. You're coming into Greenfield. The city begins where the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit sign is. Yes, he's going, yes, there's a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit sign.
Is there?
Yes.
Coming on 2A?
Yes, it's on 2A.
Where
It's a
does
new
that
one.
That little wag right there
It's a
between
new
Yale
one.
and Greenfield.
All right.
Yeah, I'm talking to the engineer and we're
Okay,
figuring this
okay,
out.
all right.
And I've seen the sign, but everybody's welcome to make sure it's still there. Anyway, the first 25-mile-per-hour speed limit sign on the right. That's where the city line starts. So we would have to go beyond that. How far, I don't know. They're asking us to draw up something that we want and give it to them. This is where we'd like the signs to be. So what happens to the other end is then you proceed down through that road. You go down High Street and Main Street, and you go to the Rotary, and you come to the already there sign, which we're going to keep. So that's that piece of it. If the city, this is all about if the city puts it up, easier way to do it. So what do we do with the other side? That's a little bit more tricky, but we were talking to the engineer. It's basically if you're coming from Cheapside, you're coming from Cheapside. If you're coming from Cheapside,
You're on Deerfield
he's
Street.
interested, he said, from Cheapside to Lower Washington Street. All right, Cheapside, Lower Washington Street. There's a strip of land where signs can be put up.
Okay.
Okay, there's not a lot of ground there, but Glenn knows that there is some space. So that could be where we could have it,
Okay.
for example.
Mhm.
Now, here's the thing that I didn't realize. We talked about, okay, so how far down can we go? As we're going through the city, where is the city limit? The city limit from Cheapside to the city limit, it's at Silver and Federal Street. You have to go to Silver Street
Four
intersection.
corners.
You have to go to the Silver Street intersection with Federal. That's the city limit. According to Glenn from DPW, Ginny's sitting over there.
And Bernardston Road is done by the state.
Okay.
And I think
That's this,
Route 2 coming in from Big Y, I don't know where local maintenance.
We've already got one that way.
Right, I'm just saying, that's,
Right.
it's there, so we,
Right.
coming up in Deerfield
Hard to
Street.
see, but it's there.
it's a little convoluted. It's not quite as straightforward.
No, because the
But that's
state
the
maintains.
city
it, and
limit.
Mhm.
So now we know what the
Greenfield
city
can't
limits
step
are.
on their
Okay.
toes.
Here,
It
here's
doesn't
we got
want to.
pins.
Mhm.
So that's what I've got. If we make a purchase, we could have it delivered to 200 Wells Street.
Mhm.
Okay. But we have to draw up we have to agree on plan that we want, where we want the signs. I'm giving leeway to Glenn, because he knows the city limits and he knows where we can physically put in a sign, especially by Cheapside.
Yeah.
So you think I'm sorry, so you think you'd like one on Deerfield Street?
Yes,
Right.
yeah, coming in from.
I mean, I don't mean to speak for anybody. but
No, no,
that
yes,
we talked about-
yes,
yes,
You could like one
yes.
there, and
Yeah.
where is the first one?
It's on the rotary. It
Is
says
it-
you coming off the rotary.
It's right there in front of the.
I should have noticed this, but I didn't.
No,
My-
Hey, listen,
See it, because there's something
Okay,
in
It's
front of
really hard to see,
Okay, so
even though it's
it's
right
there.
there.
where do you want the other two?
so we want one somewhere near Cheapside. But then what happens here that's confusing is from Cheapside to the city limit, it's Silver Street and Federal,
That's in town.
That's-
Right by.
that's where the city starts. The city limit starts at Silver Street.
Okay, so we could go further north?
I think that's state.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
state, because we had discussed Bernardston Road
That's all state.
and it's all
I see.
state.
Okay.
So we have to
Got it.
stay within the city, okay?
If they put it up,
Yes, if the city puts it up.
right,
Now, if the city, which makes it easier,
right.
and we're a city and that's how it is.
Uh-huh.
I would just go with that for now.
What do you think, everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to draw up the plan right now.
Well, we are running short, very short of
I
time.
know.
Much construction work closes down December 1.
Mhm. So we put, I just know I signed off to put the money for that.
Yes.
They're probably not gonna put them in the winter time.
Yeah, he
The
told
ground
me
gets
no.
hard.
He told me.
And I think that was fascinating. I remember this about the states and, like some roads are
Yeah.
taken care of by the state. So, and thanks for sharing that. Would you like me to ask, Glenn as well, where else he would think that there might be one?
Yeah,
I mean, a
Sure.
lot of times people in our DPW
sure.
have lots of, they actually know so much.
Yeah,
And
they're
so
like
they might
bus
have another
drivers.
thought of
School
where
bus
in the city
drivers.
limits might
Yeah.
be a good one, but
Yeah.
they're not making the decision for the agricultural board.
No.
But
They're
they
just
can,
offering a suggestion
Yeah.
of where they know it might be able to go and we know it's not
sounds good.
going, we
Yeah.
know that it would come back before you
Yeah.
and,
And then we can draw up a plan where we want the signs based on
right.
even more knowledge.
Is that good?
I think so.
Yeah,
I got a thought in my head, maybe it doesn't make sense. From Four Corners School to the intersection is a couple hundred yards.
Mhm.
There's already a boatload of signs up there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying, do we want to look like we're entering Metropolis here with signs? And I don't know where else to put it.
Yeah, I'll send a little email. I just sent an email and then it should, it was your idea, so you should have the say so, but we should also lean on our folks that
right.
have
That's a
some
great idea.
opinion.
And they
Okay.
can take care of dig safe.
Oh, yes.
Take care of
Right.
that. We
Oh,
don't
that's
have to
good.
worry
That's
about
good.
that. Okay.
And also, when this happens, I'll just say this one word about patience. Patience, which I'm sure you're all very patient. Nothing in government, this is one thing I'm really learning. Nothing in government moves fast. I had somebody come in the other day and I could hear them talking to the person that, to Patty, our executive assistant. And it was like, I think she might have forgotten about that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And I said, it's gonna be 3 or 4 months more because there's a first reading and a second reading. What I just want you to know, I absolutely loved the Moon and Back, our DPW, and everything takes a little longer than you thought. So even when they're in, it won't be the first day of spring that they're going up when we pick the thing. So that it all moves a little slower. It can come back here, but I will do this now, send in a little
Okay,
email.
great, great.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay.
Glenn with 2 N's, he said. So I figured there was a Glenn with 1 N. He was
We've got
very
at least
helpful.
4 months here. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, I remember when we started talking about this, how long ago it was. So it's nice to know that we have the city because I wasn't even sure.
Yeah,
So
that's-
yeah, we're a city. We got clogged up signs here and there. I look at signs.
I mean,
I look at
that's
it.
why you can't see that other sign. It's there.
It is
But there's
there.
so many
You saw
signs
me
right there.
taking the
Yeah, there's
picture.
so many
I
signs
got the
right there.
picture
You
on my
just can't
phone.
even see it.
Yes.
I really don't like to go into a town looking for something and seeing a row of signs. I'm sorry, it's.
Right, but
On
let's
2A,
see what
there's that-
DPW says. Maybe they have another idea.
And on 2A, there's that, it says Greenfield Tree is a tree community or something.
Yeah, that's a
I wonder-
new sign.
I wonder
Right
if
by
we-
Factory
They
Hollow.
beat us
No, coming in on 2A.
on 2A, not
from
Factory
Where I live,
Hollow.
from Adams Road.
Oh, wow, so we're not
So,
gonna stay
yes,
on Route 2.
we
We're
are
gonna go on
going-
2A.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would think you go on 2A, yeah.
Table some stuff. Oh, this one. I have so much paper. All right, I'm gonna keep this. This is what Eric gave me on the property that we could have, right?
We have a new city liaison.
So,
It's interesting that I'm gonna move on to one of your agenda items. here.
please,
With the conversation of, with Patty, the resident input, which is, new business under two here.
yes, yeah.
About the combining of lot sizes in order to make the,
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah,
here's
it's-
what I asked,
It's
here's what I,
interesting that this kind of thing came up with the chicken
Yeah.
thing too, so.
because I did ask Eric that in an email, I didn't bother him at his office, I
Mhm.
tried not to. Apparently, Just Roots, remember she talked about Just Roots
Mhm,
and combining it into, hypothetically a fiber farm, she was talking about that.
yes,
And I was fascinated with the whole idea. So Just Roots leases there's 61 acres. And Just Roots leases about 33 of those acres. So that was the information, because she wasn't sure, and so what is the other acreage if somebody wanted to do this? Like Greg is saying, because I have that on the agenda. I completely forgot.
Once you've got your 10 acres, though, you're good to go.
Right, well, she was thinking about a fiber farm.
Okay, 5,
Yeah.
excuse me, but
Go ahead, yeah. So the fiber farm would obviously be animals that she was thinking of. I thought it was a fabulous idea.
Yeah.
But how does it pan out? So that's what
Not
you've
so
got,
good.
61 acres owned by the city where Just Roots is. They lease 33 of those acres. And so far, they're not doing any animals, just.
yeah, so then, with all that, I would ask the question, because our property,
Yeah,
we have our house lot, which is, about 3/4 of an acre. We have behind that 8.5 acres. We have 2.5 separated by my uncle's place. It's over on the other side of my uncle's house.
then I,
Then we have 8 over here, and then we have another 8 over here. So can I say I have 30 acres? Yes. Do I say it is one farm, 30 acres? I wouldn't even have thought to do that,
no,
but,
people do. And they also try to include their house as part of their farmland.
yeah, so.
I
Which, and the whole reason our house is separated is because the taxes on the house is the tax, and we're not taxed on 8 acres plus a house. We're
Right.
taxed on just the house and that's.
Right,
all of
right,
the
that's-
acreage.
yeah.
so.
And
we're
then
gonna
the
take
empty
this.
land is my farmland and that's taxed at a much lower rate than the house.
Right, that's what we have on
Yeah.
ours too.
But the house and buildings are full tax.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so now you take the full tax, they're not paying any taxes over here at the church.
Well, no, it's an exemption there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
And,
know what you can do with it.
I guess I'm going to have to adjourn the meeting. It's about 6:30. There a lot of good discussion going on
Yeah,
tonight and
yeah.
thought process going on. I just want to say that I want to table a couple of agenda items. And one is the town clerk Kathy, her advice regarding attending meetings. I'm just going to table that. I think I've kind of spread that out since, things that have happened. But it's good. We'll table that. And then we have one that how can we help support and educate? And also, as Denise said, let people know that we exist.
Yeah,
That's in that.
actually to make a statement directly to you. We exist. And if things are coming up, with problems with farm animals and farm things.
I was, Go
I,
ahead.
I want you to know that as soon as something comes to me, I don't always do everything perfectly, that's for darn sure.
yeah,
But I heard about this
Okay.
and I'm like, and I also knew you needed somebody to be at this one tonight. There was a school
Yeah.
concert going on
Yeah.
as well. And I thought this was gonna be important. So I said,
I
I'll
appreciate
take,
your coming.
I'll take this meeting.
thank you,
Thank you.
I'll be the person at this meeting.
thank you.
And I heard this and I said, this is gonna be important to this committee. So, everything doesn't always work perfectly, but if I
Right.
hear of something that had something to do with this, I would know that,
Okay.
you know, I really, I was looking actually for your phone number. I usually have a phone number in my phone if somebody's here. I thought, I'll let Elizabeth know. I was gonna give you a buzz and I thought I'll come to the meeting and make sure. So, you have my word. If I hear it's happening in City Hall, I would make sure that Erin or somebody let you know, or if I wasn't doing that personally.
Okay.
But the other thing that I would say about letting people know that this committee exists, where that meeting is coming up next Tuesday. This is certainly not a requirement, but it might be nice if one person from your board was able to attend. And you didn't take any votes on anything tonight, so of course you couldn't speak and say, you know, our whole board decided this because you didn't take a vote. But you could come and say, I'm a member of the Agricultural Commission, and this was a very, discussed item. You could I think without violating any laws, it seems to me like, what, you could speak for yourself mostly because we didn't take a vote on it. Say it's hotly whatever it was, certainly had a lot of discussion around it, but that lets people know that your board exists. And if there are ever any, and you could also say if there are any changes that you're ever wanting to make to this, please follow up with the Agricultural Board. For many, many years, I was on disability access. I'm a retired nurse, so that was very near and dear to my heart. And we made a little bit of a fuss about something because one thing didn't go just right. It was, one thing was missed. And after that, you go to a meeting like a planning board or a zoning board meeting and say, please, this needs to come before us. And now disability access. The plans go before disability access to make sure that the building is accessible. And I think it would be a reasonable ask, just to, or to say that at the meeting. I'm not telling you what to say, but so that people know you exist. If you ever have something that comes up about animals or, all types of animals, please let the Ag Commission know. And that just gives you, it gives you the press that you're asking for. But I will always try if I hear of something. And of course, there very well may be something that I missed. So thank you for letting me speak so long.
Yes. Oh, and the last one I have here, which was kind of the last thing, I was asked to put on the agenda. We've been advised to announce that our new city liaison is Erin Anhalt. Okay, I've announced that. Good.
And there was her son, the children in a band concert, and
I
she will be
certainly
here.
understand. I
Yeah.
didn't have a problem with
Yeah,
that. I certainly didn't mind coming and learning how to do it.
It was nutty. Yeah, it was one part that was hard. Thank God Stephanie was on the
You're right.
meeting. 'Cause I didn't get me wrong.
Okay, so, I, make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Everybody should vote. Are we all in favor?
Are we all in favor? I keep, yes, we are. I'm not.
And that's why I look at you every time. I'm trying to prompt you.
I know. All right.
Everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you for.
Thank you out there and thanks for keeping me honest.
Thank
Stephanie.
you.